This is Geek Gab with your hosts, Dorrinal, Brian Niemeier, and me, Daddy Warpig. We are back. That's right, Geek Gab for Saturday, February 13th, 2016. And yes, 2016 is a dark year. It is a black year. It is a vile and hellish year because of all of the great people who have passed away this year, in addition to David Bowie, in addition to all of the others who have passed away. Today we just received word that Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia has passed. And so condolences to all of his family and friends from me.
And me.
And I'm going to pause for a second to send out a quick tweet to let people know we're running. Let's see. We'll go with Dorrinal. How was your week?
It's pretty good. It was a week. What can I say? It's the same old, same old. Had to skip my D&D this week to talk with that guy with the hat. What's his name? Oh yeah, Adam Baldwin.
That wasn't a bad talk. Technical problems aside.
It was a good time actually. I really enjoyed it. I hope everybody listened into that episode.
And just to reassure people that things around Geek Gab have not particularly changed. Today before the show, while we were trying to get set up and running, we had some good old technical problems with my headset, so that was awesome, just like old times. I mean, what the heck? Why would we ever want things to run smoothly around here? No. Technical problems are the order of the day. They just make things more interesting.
Absolutely. Don't want it to be too easy.
Well, we want to keep that grassroots sort of underground vibe going. I mean, as soon as everything runs smoothly, that'll be the same day that we get like an official theme song and everything with corporate sponsors at the end, and that'll be the end of the Geek Gab for sure.
I had I'm trying to think of what kind of theme song corporations. It'd be like the Wayne's World movie around here.
Like the overproduced corporate rock version that they get when they sell out.
Yeah. It'd be like techno music. Techno music like Britney Spears would make.
Like all auto-tuned and everything. That'd be great.
Yeah. Bring in Kanye West to do it.
All the light switch rave.
It would be both bad and overpriced if Kanye West were to do it. It would be shit, and it would be overpriced shit. So,
yeah, that'd be a great point, though. I think we could all do a song using auto-tune and just record that and make that the theme song.
We could probably take an episode and just auto-tune our voices and just set like a long drum beat to it. And
I gotta admit though, sometimes when the connection's sketchy, Brian, you do get that auto-tune robotic voice.
That is true.
So yeah, we just need to take find all those clips of the of Google doing that to me and get a beat behind that, and we're all good.
All right. Today we want to talk self-publishing and specifically Souldancer. So it may, those of you who listened to the Gab before may know that one of our hosts, Brian Niemeier, is actually a self-published author, an indie published author, I should say. Is that bad? Because I know self-publishing is considered to be like the vanity press way where you're paying a lot of money to get your book published and then nobody buys any copies. So people who are publishing through Kindle and other platforms who are actually selling copies and making money, they seem to prefer indie published. Am I right?
I prefer because it's less syllables, but to get technical on you, I'm technically a hybrid author. I am both traditionally and self-published, because my first publications were in actual real magazines like Sci-Fi Journal that paid me a pro rate. So my first professional work was actually through a publisher. For my novels, I consider myself my own publisher. I mean, I personally don't like the terms self-published or indie-published in relation to the writer-publisher relationship, because I think they lack precision. I try to hammer this home to anyone who approaches me asking for advice on, should I self-publish? That's the wrong question. The question is, are you willing to take on all of the rights, duties, and responsibilities of a publisher in addition to all of the duties and responsibilities of a writer? And that's what I do. I wear two hats.
And the reason why I didn't ask you how your week was because we were waiting until this exact moment in the show. So, how was your week, Brian? Anything significant, anything notable, anything special happened this week that we on the Gab might actually want to hear about? That possibly be somewhat tangentially related to the subject of the show?
My book, Souldancer, launched.
Yeah.
Did it now? I had no idea. I am shocked.
You didn't see like all the spam tweets I was sending out to everyone? All the little haikus I was composing? No?
It's been a busy week. That's all I can say.
Yeah. No, it has, because, I mean, in addition to this launch, in an area of my life that no one cares about, like the entire rest of my life has been in upheaval and extremely busy. So I've had to kind of squeeze in the book launch between other engagements. But it's gone well. Souldancer, for those who don't know, it's the sequel to my first novel, Ethereal. It's an actual sequel. It's a new story sequentially after the first book, set in the same setting. And no, it's actually going to be a quadrilogy. I have 4 planned.
But it's not one long book broken up over several different novels. It's actually, each book is self-contained.
Right, yeah. You probably could read each of them standalone, and there might be some stuff that you'd miss, but each one is a complete story. So,
by the way, if you're interested in checking Souldancer out, it's possible I might have actually gotten around to putting a link to it in the description of the show.
Yes, you did. I'm looking at it right now. Thank you.
So, from what I understand, the launch has been an absolute disaster, and you haven't sold a single copy. Is that right?
Oh, man, is that true? I haven't checked. I better ask my agent. Oh, wait, I don't have one of those either. No, it's been going quite well, although you remember the technical problems that plagued us with the Adam Baldwin interview. Well, there's a con of following me around, because, I had a cross-promotion arranged on another major subversive author's website, and at almost the exact moment that he posted my guest post, his website went down, at the height of lunchtime, and it lasted through, East Coast and Central Time Zone lunchtimes. Never came back up, and by the time that happened, another post he'd had scheduled, I believe, bumped me down to second place, so whereas last time I got way more comments, way more conversions from that site than this time. I believe something like a quarter. But this time I actually intentionally set out to do a book launch, whereas last time it's like, guys, Ethereal, here you go. It's out there. This time I actually tried to coordinate with a couple different sites, including you guys, my good friend Jeff Duntman, John C. Wright. I actually bought Facebook ads for the first time. So that has all helped to make up for it. And showing some hard numbers. Last time I checked, Souldancer was like, at its peak, it was in the 14,000s on the whole Kindle store.
Which
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is actually really good. That doesn't sound really good, but that's incredibly good when you consider there's like 20 million books for sale on the Kindles.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm pleased with the fan turnout. And yeah, speaking of my fans, another little unexpected windfall that happened before this launch, is Ethereal started getting some attention from Sad Puppies 4, where I'd found out that my fellow Superversive author Josh Young recommended Ethereal for a Best Novel Hugo over at the Sad Puppies 4 site, and that kind of snowballed. You know, some other people started getting in on it, and taking into account of several ties, I mean, more ties than in a Star Destroyer's hangar, Ethereal is like the 4th most suggested book on SP4 right now.
No, I'm not going to let that one slide. Did you just say more ties than a Star Destroyer's hangar?
Yeah, would you rather I said more ties than Regis Philbin's closet? Is that too dated?
Nailed it.
Help me out here. But yes, well, let's put it this way. There are 18 books on the list in the top 10 slots. So a lot of ties.
There is. I'm having to Google this because I myself have no knowledge of the book. But what you want to say is there are more ties than in Christian Grey's closet.
I don't get it.
I don't
You
know
don't get it because you have no knowledge of popular culture, or at least an inferior knowledge of popular culture than I do. There is a book whose entire premise is a billionaire with a closet full, a billionaire named Christian Grey with a closet full of 50 Grey ties.
I get it. Oh, now the cover makes sense. Okay.
In fact, they're 50 Grey ties, each of which is slightly different from the other. So you could almost say that there are 50 different shades of Grey ties in Christian Grey's closet.
And you could use the British spelling like I do in my books for that little extra touch of class.
Yeah, see, that's how you do the pop culture aware. That's hip. That's current. They're making the sequel next year, so I'm not saying it's funny because it's not supposed to be funny, but people will. So half the people won't understand it, and half that do understand it will kind of smile to themselves, and that's the perfect spot for my kind of humor.
All right, so noted. Thank you for that nugget of shame, Eddie Warpig. whatever.
Nugget of shame, TM.
Yeah, whatever plays to the kids. So yeah. Well, you are the one with your finger on the pulse of the youth generation, you know, being involved as you are in video game related topics and such. So.
Speaking of self-publishing, this is just a kind of an announcement. My mind just went completely blank. I have nothing to say. That's my announcement. I'm sorry.
Good night, everybody.
I think it was your attempt at a verbal smash cut there. That was like, pfft, where's the Daddy Warpig specialized segues?
My brain just rebelled. It's like I'm not changing tracks that fast. I quit. No, we want to talk, though. We wanted to talk about self-publishing today. So what we want to talk about is the whole process of writing and self-publishing and things like that. So I said I wanted to do this on Wednesday. So that's Thursday, Friday. That's 2.5 days to think through the process of what you might want to talk about. Let's suppose someone in the audience wanted to get self-published or wanted to publish a book or short story or whatever, a collection of essays through Kindle, through Amazon. Now, there's Kindle Select, I think, where you're publishing completely through Kindle and no place else. You get some bonuses on revenue but you are not allowed to publish your book anyplace else. But you can also go through a place like Smashwords or another house that will help you publish, or you can just sign up and do it yourself. Which of those options, and there are other options, many other options, how did you go about it?
First, I did as much research as I could. I'm going to say up front, I did not set out to be an indie author. I didn't set out to self-publish. I, got all the information I could, and really up until about 3 years ago, I would have told you, do not publish yourself. Get on the rejection carousel, land an agent, and then from there, cozy up to an editor at a major house and try to get mainstream publication. And the reason was that really ebooks at that point were not the clear winner over paper distribution. Because here's what the crux of the whole matter is. As an author, you want to reach as wide an audience as possible. Get your book in front of as many people as possible. Okay? And you got to figure out what the best way for you and your book is to do that. For the longest time, that meant securing a paper distribution deal with a big New York publisher who could get it into Barnes & Noble and into Target and Walmart. Nowadays, ebooks have so taken the industry by storm, and don't believe Publishers Weekly saying that ebook sales have flattened out okay. They're only looking at the Nielsen BookScan numbers that only track mainstream publishers. Amazon are the only folks who know how well Kindle books are selling, and according to them, in the same period that Nielsen BookScan is saying that ebooks are flatlining or slowing, Amazon is saying, we don't know what you're talking about, we're still seeing steady growth. So the old print market is shrinking, which we can see, because every day that goes by brings in a story of an author either jumping ship from Tor or HarperCollins, like Nick Cole just did, that's another can of worms, or just saying, I'm foregoing the whole appeasing the gatekeepers, trying to find a way in through the gates somehow, traditional publishing approach, and doing it on my own. So that's, yeah, go ahead.
I want to talk about that real quick, the Nick Cole situation, for two reasons. One, I have talked to Nick Cole about coming on the show next week, so that's a possibility if we can get our schedules to set up. And two, this is a reason why you might want to go indie publishing over trying to get your stuff sent to a traditional publisher. More and more traditional publishers are becoming hostile to anything other than doctrinaire social justice novels. What happened with Nick Cole is he has a book called Control, Alt, Revolt. And the central concept of the book, it's a robot apocalypse novel. It's about the robot uprising against humanity. Because the first hyper-intelligent artificial intelligence in the world watches reality TV and decides that humanity must die. So it launches the robot rebellion before anybody knows there is an actual functioning artificial intelligence, and that's the rest of the novel. Here's the thing. He got censored by HarperCollins, his publisher, because one of the reasons why is that this artificial intelligence scans all the books and news and stuff and learns all about human history. And it's watching, and so it knows about war, it knows about World War II, it knows about Vietnam, it knows about all of the other wars. It's watching reality TV when a reality TV star decides she's going to have an abortion. And the reasoning of the AI is, well, they kill each other all the time, so as soon as they find out about me, they're going to try and kill me. And so it launches the robot revolution as a preemptive strike against humanity. Now, The abortion part is not political. It's not big. It's not hyper-emphasized. It just happens to be the last straw that broke the camel's back. But at the same time, it offended a junior editor at HarperCollins, and so after 5-ish books, they decided not to publish this one, even though it's a semi-sequel to another previous successful book. They said, no, we're not going to do it. So he took it indie because of one tiny touch. And all of these other books get published that are heavily pushing politics. But because of one tiny touch of something that wasn't political but happens to kind of sort of maybe bear on politics, they refused to publish his book. So we'll have, but we're talking about, Brian is talking about taking upon yourself all of the burdens of publishing a novel. One of the reasons why taking upon all the burdens of publishing a novel is actually a good idea is if you have themes or content that are not doctrinaire social justice content, you may want to do it independently just to avoid the censor, the heavy hand of the censor.
And shall I tell you of the rewards of doing so? Nick Cole's Control-Alt-Revolt is currently #1 in Cyberpunk, number 253 paid in Kindle Store. After he stuck his finger in the eye of, as our good friend Jeff here in the chat says, the special snowflake editor. And by the way, I'm also gratified to see that Amazon is recommending Souldancer to people who bought Control-Alt-Revolt, so hey, thank you, Amazon.
And I'm going to have to just point out that that's probably appropriate because I'm a little more than halfway through Netherial now. That's right, I made it that far. And I am 100% on team Ancient Cyber Priest. If that doesn't get you going, I don't know what to say.
Bless you, sir. And now that you're this far in, there's no going back. Oh, thank you. So yes,
I put a link to the article, to the blog post where Nick Pohl discusses his situation with HarperCollins in the liner notes, so people can read that if they want.
But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Daddy Warpig. Yeah, that's the rise of the Neo-Puritan commissar gatekeepers. Also, just happened in the last few years while I was on my publishing journey. It's something I got to watch unfold, and it's not that they weren't there before. What I'm convinced is happening is that these two phenomena are related. The declining dominance of New York publishing and just the heavy-handed thought policing of the editors and gatekeepers in New York. Because what's happening is they have their entire identities invested in their position. That we are the curators of culture. We get to separate the wheat from the chaff. We decide who's published and who's the loser. And now that indie is taking that away from them, it's causing massive cognitive dissonance. So they are not responding rationally. They are lashing out at guys like Nick. To give you an example of how quickly this unfolded, like 2 years ago, I asked John C. Wright, hey, is there any, have you found any bias from being an outspoken Christian, a Catholic Christian in sci-fi? And his words to me were, no, I've not seen one scintilla of evidence. Because his editors, including the late, great David Hartwell, had always treated him with respect and treated him fairly. Well, what happened in the last 2 years? Specifically John C. Wright, can we say wooden anuses at the Hugo Awards and getting completely snubbed? So, yeah, he very quickly, when the mask came off, came to the realization that, wow, these people may not have been my friends. So now the masks are off, and getting back to your question, traditional or indie, at this point, I'm just going to say it, the only reason to be a traditionally published author is, A, you are already a celebrity, like a reality TV star or political candidate, and a juicy 7 or 8 figure book deal comes your way from New York, and you can hire a good ghostwriter to put out your biography. Okay, take the deal. Similarly, if you are already a self-published author who's making plenty of money off of Amazon ebooks, and you can negotiate a print-only deal with New York, where they just handle the physical printing and distribution of your books, because really, that's all they're good for. But you control the ebook rights. Yeah, take that deal, take the money and run. Otherwise, do it yourself. It can be done more cheaply, far more quickly. Because look at me, I just got 2 books out within 8 months. That is a far shorter time than most New York publishers take to do initial edits. Like, it could take them 8 months to 2 years to get back to you with, here are the changes we need in 6 weeks. And you have
5 weeks or this weekend.
Yeah, if you're Ed Greenwood, yeah. So, yeah, and you have far more control. Sarah Hoyt has said that in traditional publishing, the author has no control, but takes all of the blame. So you get to make no decisions. You don't get to decide what your cover is, what the release schedule is, how much co-op or marketing money you get from the publisher. But if the book does poorly, oh, it's because you wrote a bad book.
All right, we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left. Do you want to talk about Souldancer itself? Like, sell us on the novel. What is it about Souldancer that would make us want to read it?
All right, I'm going to have to walk on eggshells here to avoid major spoilers. However, Souldancer is actually my first book. It came out second. It is the story that I really wanted to tell, that was burning to get out of me. I know this sounds cliche, but sometimes people are visited by the muse. It's what launched me on this self-publishing journey and made me want to be a writer in the first place. So it is a far more personal story than Ethereal is. And in fact, Ethereal is just the prologue to Souldancer. So, as like Dorrinal, if you're hooked on Ethereal, it's really just the background material that I had to go back and fill in to do my, get my world building out of the way for Souldancer. So, yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'll get your reaction from that.
Does that mean that Souldancer is full of cyber priests?
Again, spoiler territory, but I will say it is full of priests of an unusual description, and also, I suppose you could call them cyber things. So there's both, more of a cyber element and more of a priest element. Not always necessarily combined, but often in the same scene.
All right, maybe.
There's also lycanthropes, both vaporizing and being vaporized by psionicis in a post-apocalyptic setting.
Okay.
Well, come on, folks. If that doesn't get you hooked, I don't know what would.
Yeah, it's also, for any ladies who might be out there, I don't know, do we have any women who listen to this? I don't know. I hope we do. But, yeah, it's romance, guys. I mean, at its heart, it's a love story. It's far from a traditional love story, but that's really what the emotional core of the book is. But it's not just, oh, these two characters make kissy faces at each other for the titillation factor. Their relationship ties into resolving the moral quandary that an Ethereal introduces, which is this. It's basically Manichaeism. You have black and white, like many classic fantasy and sci-fi stories do. The dark side and the light side. But
if I were to make a marketing suggestion,
sure,
I think you were on more solid ground with lycanthropes vaporizing psionicists.
Yeah, sure. Just tell me when I've gone too far. Tell me when to reel it in.
I mean, it's your book. You can talk about whatever you'd like, but I'm just saying, I think you're going to draw more people in with stuff blowing up, but maybe that's just me.
It might be. I mean, I'm going off of reader feedback here. Like, I've received a couple of very touching emails from people who've read Ethereal and Souldancer. And if you look at the Amazon reviews from Ethereal, one gentleman, DJ, mentioned the one thing that kind of unsettled him about Ethereal was there's no obvious grounding. There's nothing that says the antagonist is wrong and the protagonists are right. And he was hoping that Souldancer addressed that, and he read it, he got back to me and said, yeah, it did to his satisfaction. So, for fans of cyber priests and vaporizing lycanthropes, Souldancer's got you covered. For people who are a bit more interested in metaphysics and, the craft of storytelling where it comes to themes, I got you covered there too. Something for everybody.
Love it. Something for everybody.
Okay, well, we are out of time for today's show. So, as usual, I'm going to let you sign off with whatever you feel like saying right now. Brian?
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Guys, thanks for letting me pimp my book and asking me such great questions about publishing. I will point out that indie publishing is not an ideology for me, like TradPub is for folks like Nicole's editor. It's purely mercenary. If traditional publishing ever became a more reasonable, financial deal, then I'd probably jump back onto that. But yeah, for now, the future's indie.
Dorrinal, any last words?
No, thanks for talking to us about it. It's always cool to see get an insider's view on doing that stuff, because I'm not a writer, so I thought it was interesting.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for reading. You are a reader, which makes you my boss. So your wish is my command.
So more cybernetics, please. Next one. Okay.
All right, folks. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to Geek Gab, episode 42. For those of you who know what that means. We appreciate everyone who's listening. And by the way, if you haven't heard our interview with Adam Baldwin, it is also available on YouTube. We are signing off for today, but don't worry and don't fret. We will be back.